You know, a little while ago, I watched a video by TJ Kirk, formerly known as The Amazing Atheist, now Frey the Chaos Wizard, and it was a video titled, I'm not sick of politics. I'm sick of people who, and in the video, he talks about how he's sick of people who are obsessed with politics, who basically make their life nothing but politics, circle their lives around it. Everything else, they don't really have hobbies or anything like that, just politics. And his main thrust of the video is that, ultimately your opinion doesn't matter, because you have little say or little power or no power, really, in how things are going to unfold. So you might as well just stop and go live your life. If you're going to do politics, have it as like this small, contained thing, and just, you know, go live your life, things like that. Uh, I thought that was a good video. Uh, and, maybe it's part of the reason why I didn't immediately comment on Maduro's capture by Donald Trump, or the shooting of Nicole Good, or the current ICE protests that are going on in Minneapolis and probably in other cities across the country. Um, Although I have been watching a lot of videos about Jeffrey Epstein, that's probably even worse than that. But it is politics, unfortunately. So, uh, but I still have a YouTube channel to keep up. I still have people that listen to me, watch me, are reliant upon me, or not really reliant upon me, but you get the idea. I still have. I still have a channel. I still have a voice. I still have to keep it up, and so, you know, let's talk about that then, if that's the case. So, Nicolas Maduro, and his capture. Um, so, what I think so far about that is that it's a little bit too on the nose that Donald Trump is doing this because of the Epstein files coming out. Uh, I know there are a lot of bad stuff about him that already came out, but even if stuff is out there, you don't want people to pay attention to it. So you what do? You distract them. How are you going to distract them? A huge war. Um, it was just too convenient. The timing, really. Um, you know, I don't put much stake in just Trump wanted to do this whole thing. Um, I guess you could say that he might have been persuaded by Marco Rubio, to do this, though, because beforehand he was willing to talk to Nicolas Maduro, but now he obviously is not. And so it's pretty clear Marco Rubio probably had something to do with it, but in the end, I think Trump went through with it because of the Epstein files, that they're getting out there and will cause great reputational harm. So he doesn't want people to be focused on that. He wants to be people focused on other things, which is why this Nicole Good shooting is the gift that keeps on giving. Now, um, I know that not everyone in my audience is gonna agree with me on this, but I've watched the videos and I've read the stuff that the ICE agents have said about the shooting. So, first of all, let me just get off this chest. I think ICE is basically a Gestapo police force at this point. And I think it's pretty obvious. They've, like, smashed, like, a total of, like, 50 windows, broke into people's cars, they trick people into letting them into their houses without warrants, they don't wear uniforms, they wear just camo, they wear masks, no identification on them, they tear gas near schools, so I already hate ICE as is, but so I'm gonna give him a but I'm gonna give him a fair shake though, as I described in the Nicole Good shooting. So, um, it seems to me, um, that what happened was, so Nicole Good was probably blocking the street deliberately. Um, but the other ICE agent showed up, and um, she wanted to get away. She didn't step out the car, so she seemed to be afraid of the ICE agents, and she drove away. But before she could drive away, there was an Iceman standing, not really in front of her car, but to like near the side of like the front left wheel, and I don't think the car actually hit him. But it scared him enough that he shot her right through the windshield into her head. Uh, you know, and that's what caused the car to go down the street and crash into the other car in a very dramatic fashion. Um, and the people surrounding them were like, I'm a doctor, let me give him help. And they're like, no. So, basically, at this point. And if you don't like my opinion, if you think ICE was right in all of this, go ahead and unsubscribe. Because obviously this is fascist tactics. Clearly, it's just so blatantly obvious. Like the first time I read about this incident, it talked about how, from the ICE perspective, that the ICE agent was hit. She weaponized her car. She's going to hit them. The guy was in the hospital. But if you look in the video, it's clearly obvious he was not hurt. The man was walking around afterwards. There was no possible way he was going to get hurt. He just stood in front of her car like a moron. And he got panicked. I think he thought she might run him over, but there was like no chance he was going to. And so he shot her. And this is basically just a simple, like, ICE doesn't want anybody questioning their authority. And ICE is a Gestapo police agency. And if you don't like me saying that, again, go ahead and unsubscribe. I don't want people like you on my channel. Go. Get out. Shoo. Like, I never thought I would hate my fellow countrymen so much like what I do now. Because years ago, if you were to ask me, if you were to tell me all this stuff, I wouldn't believe you. I would say, well, this is America. Even the people on the other side of the aisle, even Republicans, would not allow this to happen. They love America. They love the Constitution. They love due process. They love freedom. They love justice. Right? So even if that's the case, they wouldn't allow that to happen. I was wrong. People just have an endless ability to lie to themselves. And we're seeing it right now. You can't trust people's stated beliefs as their actual beliefs. And it is god awful annoying. It's so painful to just have to think like that. You wonder if somebody... I guess that's the thing. You should probably just default start off by not believing what anyone else says. I guess actions speak louder than words. So perhaps that's what you need to know for people's motivations. But anyway, so past the Nicole Good shooting, to the protests that happened afterwards. So the protests that happened afterwards are plenty... They're just... Yeah, it's the right reaction to have towards that shooting. It's been like, what, 5 days since the shooting of her, and the protests are still going strong. So that's a good idea. I don't know if they would gain steam or not. There's no there's no reason to believe that they're going to storm the White House and overthrow Trump. I don't know what this will do, except like I guess raise awareness. Uh, I I don't know if this will turn out like the Freddie Gray, right? Or was it some other person? I don't know. But it happened during the COVID pandemic, and it was like mass riots all over the country because a black guy was killed by police. I don't know. I don't think it will turn out like that. But maybe it will because there's already a proponent of not liking, hating, actually, Trump underneath that. And so, you know, those people, the protests might get worse. But that, I don't know how that would serve anybody, really. The fascists have the guns, currently the military. And unfortunately, the left is just weak. Like, there is no left wing in this country. And if there was, they're just weak as hell. Like, they have no balls to actually, like, fight people. And I never thought how cowardly and weak my country is. I always thought that Americans would love to stand up for justice and fight for it. But instead, I guess we have to wait until, like, the midterms for Congress to hopefully be changed and for Donald Trump to get a Congress that disagrees with him. You know, perhaps that's just the true nature of rebellion. It's not all that romantic. And you just have to live with that. So, what other news are there? Let's see here. You got Donald Trump. You got Nicolas Maduro. Oh! Forgot. So, Donald Trump, at this point, he's just going full throttle. He's going to do strikes in Mexico at this point. So, he's going to invade Mexico. And, yeah. That's what's going to happen. He's going to invade Mexico. He's going to permanently ruin our relations with our South American allies, or countries that we have decent relations with, and will probably make immigration worse because they're not going to enforce their borders to try and, help these people come here. They're just going to be like, go on in. But maybe they'll probably just like put like a line of guns. God, I just hate this redneck country. I've never been so disgusted before as I am now. Like, when I was a child, I thought that, America was basically like, civil-oriented, civil-minded. Like George Washington. Yeah, the guy owned slaves, sure. But he thought long-term, and his foreign policy was based upon, like, respect for the other nation. Like, I thought they were, like, America was, like, professional, rule-based, rule of law, freedom for the individual, protect civil liberties, all that stuff. And then I grew up and realized that America is a bunch of fucking rednecks. Just these dumb, drooling yokels who want nothing more than someone to break into their house so they can have an excuse to shoot someone. That's how pathetic they are. And they're brainless. And they just go whatever their leaders say. And I don't want to, like, obviously people would say, oh, you're wrong, you're brainwashed. But it's like, no, it's pretty obvious at this point who the brainwashed group is. Not to say that there aren't dumb people on the left, but the right has pretty much taken the cake. And I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. my I there's just I I don't know. Um, we're just so screwed. Maybe I should just try to work with what we got. So maybe I should probably finish this video by saying something we can all agree is bad. So, Jeffrey Epstein, he's still alive. Like, I watched a video by a mortician recently. It's pretty obvious he's alive. He's still alive. He's still out there. He's planning things. He's probably hiding out in Israel. I don't know. I don't know what the elites have for him. I guess the reason why they abandoned him in the first place was because he was getting too obvious. So this is kind of like a reset. This is like a hard lesson from the elites to him. So now he's hidden again, and he's just going to continue to do this stuff. And yeah, you know, when I was in school, I wanted to be a scientist. But then when I was 15, I realized that politics mattered because it could help invest in technologies and in the end advance things beyond its limit. But then now I'm just like, oh my god, I do not want these assholes anywhere near our technology. Like, maybe I should adopt the mindset of Ted Kaczynski, but it's not really because I hate technology in of itself. I hate the people that currently have it in their possession. And I know that every single advance of technology just goes right to their pocket. Like, you could make a cancer drug for, like, little babies, and they'll find some way to exploit it horribly to the detriment of mankind. These assholes should not get anything. They don't deserve anything. But they rule everything. And they're the ones with the power levers. And I don't know what to do with that. I'm still reeling from this. I'm just so disgusted and mad, and just sad and afraid and kind of numb, disappointed, betrayed. Maybe that word signifies most than everything else. Just that awful feeling, betrayal. You know, like I've been set up to fail. That's why I don't like to talk about politics anymore. Because I don't really see. Here's the thing. With science fiction, it's not about the future. It's about the now. Meaning, every single story that we're going to write is biased by what's happening now. It's happened in the 1960s, wherein, you know, people back then thought, oh, we'll be on the moon, we'll have a base on the moon by year 2000. And that was just them projecting their ideas out onto the future. They thought that rockets were going to get cheaper and cheaper, but it turns out they did not. There was a stall gap, and they did not get cheaper and cheaper until the early 2000s, early 2010s, rather, when SpaceX got into the picture. And that's the thing. I guess I'm digging in a hole for myself. Like, yeah, I've kind of grown cynical as I've aged. But really, what this is I guess I'm just digging myself my own hole of despair to get in and despair about it. But really, this is just a small part of human history, you know. And the tables can turn, and it could come down, and it could change again. Worse civilizations have existed in the past, and those have been overthrown. And this will be the same. This will be the same. You know, I don't really know how that would work, though. But there's gotta be a way to fix this and move forward. I guess maybe this is just the shock, or like it gets ugly before it gets better. Maybe that's it. Anyways, thanks for watching.